talking about how maybe to take all these blocks that we've accumulated over the course of the class and put them together into a larger piece. So you probably all have a selection. I know I've made quite a few. There's basically, for putting the blocks together, it's not much different than any other type of quilting. I mean, there are several options, but basically the first thing you want to do is, if you've got a plan, is to cut your blocks to size if you're trying to make some kind of an exact design. The two basic methods that are most obvious, maybe the second one won't be as obvious, is the same as any other quilt block, where you just put right sides together after cutting them to the exact size you need and stitching them. And I put one together here for you. It comes out just like any other quilt block, and I would say that this is a very logical option. The only thing you'll want to do in this case is to keep your seams pressed flat out to minimize the thickness. And with this method, you're going to have to put a backing on because you're going to be left with a lot of seams on the back. But if you're working with thin enough fabric, there's no real reason why you can't put it together just like any other quilt. The machine stitching option is the easiest for you here. Of course, you can hand stitch it, but this is a really strong, clean line method to put your blocks together. So if you have a pattern, you can do triangles or squares or whatever. It would be basically the same as any other quilting technique. The second method, which I don't know if you're familiar with rag quilting, that would be where you would take your block and actually put the back sides together and make your stitch on the front side, and then when you turn that, you're going to have the raggedy edge on the front of your quilt. And what you want to do is snip into that seam that's showing. I think every 1/4 inch my scissors are getting a little unsharp here. Anyway, and you get this kind of a tassel-y fringe here, and what you want to do that to all your different blocks, and I usually work in strips. That's the easiest. Sew a strip of blocks together and then sew the strips together. Once you put that in a washing machine and a dryer, this will actually turn into sort of a fluffy, ragged seam, and I've given you some links to some rag quilting sites that you can take a look at. It's a really nice method, and depending on what you've done in the back, if you've only basted your blocks and there's nothing in the middle, see if I can find one. Well, I can't. You will have a clean back. There'll be a seam on the back. All your backings will show, and you won't have to add any other extra layers. So this is also a very nice, it fits really well with the ragged edge idea. The third method is what I call the collage method, and this is the method I'm using for the Magic quilt. And really what you do here is you may have a plan already, you may not. You'll start laying your blocks wherever you want them. Of course, this is a smaller piece, but it could be a large size, full-sized quilt. And then you would start placing them in an overlap method. Now this works better if you haven't trimmed your blocks, because you can go back and start tucking and playing with that edge. And you would just pin it in place, catching your backing. And it's best to use a thin fabric for your backing here, because you are already We've already got a couple of layers there. Now you can do this as you go, or you can pin the whole thing. But you get the idea. You just slightly overlap the blocks so that they're sitting on top of each other. Pin them, baste them, and then eventually you would do your quilting. And you can see I've got the magic quilt here to show you, and everything on this cloth has been done that way, and it's really holding together just fine.